Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Okay, today we've got a really specific mission for you, especially if you're a project professional looking at upskilling. It's about making a quick call on a pretty high-value training opportunity.
That's right. We're digging into the syllabus for the Basic Spider Project Training 2025. The core focus. Mastering CPM, that's the Critical Path Method and RCP, resource-constrained planning. Essential tools.
Essential and time-sensitive. The source material makes that pretty clear. This is a basic level course, just 12 online classes, about an hour each, spread over 4 weeks, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays.
And it's really focused. The key thing here is it's scheduling only. It explicitly does not cover the project control phase that comes after.
Exactly. And here's the kicker. It's super limited, high demand. There are only 2 seats, literally 2, open for professionals outside their organization. It costs US $1,000. There's an interview. You need practical experience.
And the invitation says professionals need to confirm this week, so the clock is ticking.
It really is. So our job today is to give you a clear breakdown of the 5 modules. Does this course actually equip you to build what they call a technically consistent schedule, something that holds up in real engineering and construction settings?
Let's find out. Module 1, the main screen, the operational center.
We have to start here.
Okay, the main screen. For experienced pros, you might think, why focus on the interface? What's the deeper point here?
Well, the course frames it differently. It's not just, here are the buttons. It positions the main screen as a dynamic decision-making tool, the starting point for what they call liquid planning.
Liquid planning. So less about finding features and more about understanding the software's logic immediately.
Precisely. It's about building confidence, sure, finding resources quickly in the navigation pane.
Yeah.
But the real value is understanding the desktop as your operational space and, crucially, the properties panel.
Ah, the properties panel. That's where you see the metrics. Exactly. You can instantly see and edit things like SPI, CPI, even TPI, the Time Performance Index, right there as you work. It pushes you towards a more proactive, analytical mindset from the very beginning. It's about internalizing that integrated logic so you can, move forward safely within the software.
Okay, that makes sense. So from the command center, module 2 is data structure, layouts, and visual communication. How do we move from interacting with the screen to organizing and, importantly, communicating the plan?
Right. This is all about making the model readable and presentable. It breaks down into 3 core things.
Yeah.
The data itself, customizing fields, what you actually track. Then the layouts.
The layouts meaning tables, graphs.
Yeah, exactly. Tables for deep dives, graphs for quick visual checks, and the Gantt chart, obviously, is the main time view. And the third piece is modes and views, how you share it, like publishing to a web server for remote teams.
Got it. The syllabus also highlights WBS and activity tags here. Pretty standard stuff, but how is it approached in this basic but for experts course?
The emphasis is really on consistency. Building the WBS hierarchically, linking scope to execution, yes. But the interesting bit is how you define activities. They make a clear distinction.
Between
Production activities, which are driven by resource productivity and work volume, and duration activities, which are just fixed time blocks. Plus, you use remarks for notes and milestones as control points.
That production versus duration distinction sounds like it feeds directly into the resource-constrained planning later on.
It absolutely does. The whole point of Module 2 is standardization, making sure the visual output, the charts, the tables, consistently reflects the underlying plan. It makes auditing easier and ensures everyone's, reading from the same page.
Okay, Module 3, activity scheduling process, from scope to time. This feels like where the rubber meets the road. The course apparently makes a big deal about the difference between planning and scheduling. What's the takeaway there?
Planning is the what and how, the strategy. Scheduling, in their terms, is the temporal materialization of that plan. It's where you actually sign it to the calendar, give it a chronological dimension. It's dynamic, iterative. This module is really the engine room. It uses CPM to figure out the timing.
Right, the critical path method. So what are the core steps they teach? The absolute must-haves for building a reliable schedule.
4 fundamental steps. First, finalize the scope in WBS, know what you're building. Second, insert and characterize the activities, turn that structure into a network, assigning realistic durations, calendars, linking resources.
Okay.
Third, and this is maybe the most critical part, define the relationships. This isn't just simple finish to start links. It's mastering the complex dependencies, start, finish, start, finish, plus lags and leads to model how work actually flows.
So building a truly logical sequence, not just connecting boxes.
Exactly. And avoiding artificial logic that breaks down later. Then the fourth step is the schedule calculation itself. Running the CPM algorithm to generate the Gantt, identify the critical path, and calculate the float, or what they call clearances.
And the big insight is?
The insight is building a reliable time structure, one that's based on sound logic, not just assumptions. This ensures your analysis holds up when you start tracking progress or dealing with changes.
Okay, so now we have this logically sound, calculated schedule. Module 4, feasibility of the model resources, constraints, and risks. This is where we bump up against reality, right?
Precisely. This is the integrated planning stage, and where resource-constrained planning, the RCP part, really shows up. You start acknowledging the real-world limits, your teams, their specific work calendars, even physical space on site.
So it's not just assuming infinite resources.
Definitely not. Even in this basic course, you learn how resource availability, limits, and the concept of automatic leveling directly impact the schedule calculation. It forces the schedule to be executable, not just theoretical.
And what about constraints? The syllabus mentions 4 types.
Yes, constraints are the hard rules the schedule has to obey. You've got calendars, non-work days, holidays, resource limits, how many of a certain resource you actually have. Then deadlines, which they manage using specific tools like SNET and FNLT.
Net FNLT.
Start no earlier than, finish no later than. These let you lock in specific dates, maybe client milestones or regulatory requirements that the schedule must respect, regardless of the pure logic.
Okay, like hard stops.
Right. And the fourth constraint mentioned is space, the physical availability of the work area. Super important in construction, often missed in purely logical schedules.
So applying all these resources constraints ensures the schedule reflects actual practical capacity. Makes sense. What about risk analysis? Is that covered?
It's introduced conceptually. The main lesson here is understanding the weakness of the basic deterministic model, the one that assumes everything goes perfectly, no restrictions, unlimited resources.
Which we know never happens.
Exactly. So they introduced the idea of testing variability, thinking about how reliable your dates really are. It's setting the stage for more advanced probabilistic methods down the line. But the core takeaway is understanding that your initial CPM schedule is just one possible outcome. This module really ensures the model you build is truly executable, ready for production control.
Which leads us neatly to the end game. Module 5, course outputs tangible and intangible value. Given that tight deadline to decide and the cost, what does the participant actually walk away with? Let's talk deliverables.
Okay, tangible outputs first. The course aims for you to produce 7 key things. You get a full technical timeline, the schedule itself with the WBS, all the activities, dependencies. You get a properly configured Gantt chart ready to show people.
Okay, the visual baseline.
Right. Plus, data tables set up with all the essential planning fields you need, reports and web outputs for sharing, and of course, the automatic CPM calculation with the critical path clearly identified. Essentially, the complete package for a baseline schedule.
So you leave with a finished product, a technically sound model you built. That sounds valuable. What about the skills, the know-how, the intangible stuff?
Also 7 key items listed. It's about achieving mastery of the interface and the integrated logic, really understanding time-offs, critical paths, how they interact, getting that feel for integrated planning.
Importantly.
Developing a critical perspective on uncertainty and feasibility, knowing the limits of the deterministic model. And maybe the biggest intangible, gaining a systemic view. Seeing how planning connects to execution and how that drives performance measurement. But again, remember the context provided.
Right. The course builds the planning model. It sets the baseline. It doesn't go into the control phase, the tracking and updating. That's explicitly stated as the next step for more advanced training.
Exactly. Advanced analyses like resource analysis, float analysis, drag analysis, those are built upon the foundation this course provides.
Okay, so this really seems like it's designed for someone who needs to move beyond just drawing Gantt charts and start using scheduling software for serious resource-aware decision-making. You leave able to build that robust technical baseline.
Absolutely. The outcome seems to be genuine hands-on skill in building feasible resource-constrained schedules. That's the promise.
And with, maybe only a couple of days left for you to confirm if you want one of those 2 spots, here's something to chew on as you decide.
Go on.
If this course absolutely delivers on creating that technically consistent schedule, a perfect optimized baseline, but it stops before teaching the control phase, what's the immediate risk you face the moment that beautiful schedule hits the real world? The minute reality forces changes, requires updates, demands tracking against that baseline you just built.
That's the cliffhanger, isn't it? Your perfect plan meets reality. The ability to manage that collision through effective project control is the vital next piece of the puzzle, something this course prepares you for but doesn't cover itself.